I am Jeanne Gormick, and I, during COVID, wrote two different books, which I'll talk about in my presentation. I've been a stay-at-home mom. I've worked for a full-time for companies, big corporations, but the best part of life is owning your business. And just a little secret, Philip doesn't even know this, but actually, as of Wednesday, I'm probably going back to my full-time job, but I've got my side hustle in place, and I'm going to be talking to somebody tomorrow about hiring them for the social media and all of that. So I'm in transition, but I've been there. I had a PR company. Let's get started. My title for today is I'm identifying myself as a third generation home-based business. And the reality is, even if you don't want to be a home-based business, it's a really good place to start your business. And there have been businesses down the line that have become huge corporations, and they started in somebody's garage or basement or in their home. I identify myself as a third generation home-based business owner because my grandfather actually had a home-based chiropractic office. And in that picture is my mother. And this was back in the early 1900s. I'm going to be showing my age here. My grandmother at the same time was making ceramic pottery in her basement. And you see, some of the things I'm going to share about my family history might tip off an idea that you have, and we'll talk about that later. Just some ideas that you may have for starting a business. The ceramic pottery that she did in the basement, she actually had the oven, the kiln. She had everything down there. And this is one of her pieces that she had made. My dad's law practice, the other side of my family, that actually started in our home. And the funny thing is, my brother is still at the farm where my parents retired. But in the barn, we actually still have my dad's counselor at law sign. So we've just had lots of fun. But it wasn't just my parents and grandparents. My brother has a solar energy business currently going on in the state of New York, and there's his solar or Great Brook solar sign. And then during COVID, and I hope you can see some comedy as we go through my presentation, I was protecting myself, but I was also publishing my books. The cool thing about a home-based business is that your kids are one way or the other exposed to it if you have children. And I'm so excited that I actually have a fourth and fifth generation from my grandfather's start. This is my daughter-in-law. Her name is Heather, and she has a travel company. Obviously, COVID really, really affected that. They had to return a lot of money, let some of their employees go, but she works from home, and she's in the process now of pulling that business back together. And one thing that I should say through this presentation, it sounds really great to have your home-based business, but running a business is not an easy thing. But if you're organized, if you follow the proper steps, you can be successful. But I'm so excited to introduce you to my son's not in the picture, but these are my two grandchildren. We've got Jeremiah and we have Noah, and they are working the family beekeeping business. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes in more depth. But the point is, it's a family-owned business. It came from what my husband and I did as home-based business owners. So why are we all successful? Of course, it's because we read the book. This is my book, See Dick and Jane Start a Home-Based Business, and it is available on Amazon. The reason that I bring this up, it's like an expanded outline, and I'm going to give you some pointers today that I have within that book. But it's very helpful for anybody who is looking to uh, start successfully and do the steps that are necessary to have a successful business. So we start a successful business by doing it right, being professional, and let's have a little bit of fun. I'm going to show you why you need to work on doing it right and being professional. You first have to start with getting a private location within your home, because you might have drunk roommates, or if you're a college student, or barking dogs, or TV or music blasting, or if you're a little bit older, you might have the fighting kids in the background. Does that make you feel comfortable doing business with somebody with that in the background, either on a Zoom call or on a phone call? I don't think so. So, and I'm going to use myself as an example. You do need to do the best you can to find a private, quiet space, even if it ends up being a closet. My first phone calls that were being made, I made in the kitchen when the kids were in bed. And then I had a corner of our master bedroom. And at one time, I made stained glass. I did crafts. I have that in my blood, and that was something that I turned into business. I did logos, stained glass logos for companies. But because of the cutting of the glass, and that wasn't safe for me to do any place else, I had a shed in the backyard. So all of these different places can be good workplaces. Just don't run into the skunk that I ran into. This was pre cell phones. So I was stuck in my shed. I couldn't get into the house because I had to wait for the skunk to decide to go away. Anyway, I finally got my laundry room. I had to fight with my late husband over putting the washer and dryer in the garage. But my laundry room became the home for my public relations company. And this is just an article that was published in the business section of the Orange County Register talking about home-based businesses. And they featured me, and it's hard to see, but I didn't realize I didn't have my shoes on. But that's kind of typical, especially nowadays. I mean, I have jeans on that go with my upper outfit, but I could just as easily have a pair of shorts on or pajamas. People are doing it on Zoom now. So you do have some flexibility. I think if you showed up with your pajama bottoms on at a regular job, there might be a problem. But let's get into this and get going. My the former man cave before I lost my husband is now the woe man cave. Just, I've got a warped sense of humor, but I've got my books, I do my presentations, I do my groups of encouragement. They are all done in this room. So where to start? You have a hobby, and I've mentioned several of the different things that I've done. Maybe you're good with computers. Maybe you have a craft, or maybe you are a writer and you've always wanted to publish a book. And by the way, just a little note, if you do want to publish and write books, you don't make money from the sales of the books. You make money from getting out there and speaking and getting offering something more to the population. So perhaps your present job expertise might be converted into your own business. And by that, I mean, let's say that you're a financial expert or even a CPA in somebody else's firm. You may break away and become a CPA for your own clients and build your business that way. And so having whatever job you have now, if you're enjoying it, that could become a new business. But you have to be ready for anything. Just like COVID threw all of us throughout the world into the unexpected. I'm going to share my son Tim's story. And let's start up here. He was about to be married and he had a job and he lost that job. But what he did from there was amazing. He was a surfer. He is a surfer. He loves to surf. And he took his passion and what he actually was doing in Orange County in the Dana Point area. He was going to garage sales. He needed to make money so that he could take care of his new wife. And so he started going to garage sales and picking up perfectly good surfboards and selling them on eBay. That led to him, and I hesitate to use the foreign country that we're a little upset at these days, China, but they have good manufacturing, and that's the direction that they decided to go for his surfboard company. He called it the Millennial. He was actually featured, he was an award winner as the Young Entrepreneur of the Year. I'm sure the Small Business Administration still has that, but you have to be under the age of 30, and he was in his 29th year, but he was the recipient of that. So there's lots of fun things that can happen. However, some bad things can happen too, and this is still Tim's story. We had the 2008 stock market crash. A lot of people lost money, and for Tim, none of those parents were buying surfboards for their kids. His surfboard industry on eBay, being the top seller of surfboards on eBay, went completely down. So they were lost, they were confused. What do they do? What happens now? But look at this. And it took several years. They chose to go to Hawaii because my daughter-in-law has relatives in Hawaii. But look where Tim's business went, Tim and the family. It's family owned and operated, and their honey, the product from the bees, has become award-winning honey. All right, let's get back to some other ideas that things that you might consider for being a home business or a small business. There are direct selling companies, multi-level marketing companies, MLMs. The important thing with them, and there's so many, because you've got your nutritional, you've got there's even Legal Shield, which is legal if you're more into that. There's Amway, there's Arbonne, there's the essential oils, there's all kinds of opportunities. But the key thing is you want to make sure that you connect yourself with a company and an upline, I'll call it manager, who can guide and support you, not just leave you out there. So one of my cautions is to find the opportunity that will provide you with support. And that means telling you how to do social media, telling you how to do an email campaign, get the word out. If that company wants you to sell their products, you have to make sure that you like selling. Pretty much every business involves sales at some point. And so even starting a regular business of your own, you need to really make sure that you are willing and able to sell. And there are lots of ways to sell. You can read the book. But I'd like to stop here for a minute, and we did have a little bit of sharing. Philip was asking earlier, but please don't be shy. I'd love to know a little bit more about businesses that you may have considered. So I'm going to try to stop share temporarily. And is there a way I can, do the people come if they're speaking? Okay, good.
Yeah,
anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, you'll just have to unmute yourself so that you can speak up, or I suppose if you wish, you can put it in the chat window, but it'd be best if you can speak.
Yeah, I'll give it a couple of minutes. Not everybody's a speaker. One of the suggestions is make sure you get into Toastmasters.
Hello?
Anybody? Oh,
Hello?
wait, Norbert.
Yes,
Norbert.
it is. Hi, Phil. Hi,
Hey,
Jean.
Norbert.
Hi.
Hey,
Great to see you.
good to see you too. Hey, listen. Well, if you want to talk about online business, I mean, I already kind of have one. It's not
Mhm.
my principal job as a financial advisor, but what I do is I actually do buy and sell stuff on eBay. I've
There
been
you
doing it
go.
for many years, but I was thinking if I really were to do a lot of it, would what I need insurance? And by the way, so the stuff that I sell is postage stamps. So I'm a collector
Mm.
of stamps, and I've been
Philatelist.
a philatelist, yes, for over 30 years.
Wow.
So I have a huge collection worldwide. Okay, and so I have been thinking about selling all my extras and all that. So I've done just a little tiny bit of it, like like 5 lots so
Uh-huh.
far. But I could imagine that I could sell, let's say, most of my collection and just keep the core in the
Sure.
future. But if I were to kind of turn into a business, does that mean I should get a license, or I don't think there is a license needed to do that, and or insurance?
Yeah, I'm inclined to think there's probably not a license for selling
Mm-hmm.
stamps. I mean, my experience, you're taking me way back because I used to collect stamps, but I was in junior high school, and the
Yeah.
world's changed a whole lot since then.
Yeah.
But Philip may be able to address the licensing side. The
Yeah.
insurance side, I would talk to it. Informally talk to an insurance professional, um, but it may boil down to your own risk. How much risk versus how much the insurance is going to cost you are you willing to take?
I mean,
And yes, go ahead.
it's really like, what if something gets lost in the mail, and which is very,
Mhm.
very extremely small chance,
Sure.
and especially if you register it. Yeah,
Hmm.
but the problem with registering something is becomes really expensive. So let's
Right.
say the stamp is only worth $15, and then you send a registered or that was $7 by priority. I mean, that's ridiculous, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Norbert, I would recommend getting insurance for shipping things if it's over $20 in value. If it's
Uh-huh.
under that, it really doesn't make sense too much. I mean, you can afford to have that loss, but
Yeah.
definitely if you're sending something of extreme value through the
Oh,
mail,
definitely.
I would
Yeah.
definitely get
I
that
mean, I
insured.
learned the hard way once because I
Mm,
returned a stamp that I bought
mm.
for $100. It's like a 19th century Portuguese stamp, extremely beautiful, but when it came, it arrived damaged. It's
Oh,
like, and then I returned it, and when I sent it without registration, and then the seller claimed that he never received it back, so he never
yeah.
refunded me, which is of course very bogus.
Yeah.
Because when is ever mail lost? I mean, what are the chances of mail being lost?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it's extremely small, right? No matter how
Yeah.
bad the U.S. Postal Service gets,
Exactly.
it's like
Well,
0.01%, of mail gets lost. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. I see I have somebody else with a question, but I think based on what Philip said and what I said, it's going to be your own decision on how much and when to get insurance.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you.
And yeah, there was, I guess he's in the chat. Oh, okay. Was it a
Yes,
little,
I'm the one that raised my hand.
there we go. Okay. Yeah, I don't have a full screen, so it's hard. So Alejandro, yes, go
Yes.
ahead.
Well, me and my brother are just starting our business, which is like selling clothes, like branded clothes. And
Oh, okay.
we're really in the process of sending out so we could get the trademark and copyright. But other than that, do you think we should start getting like business license, the permits, and identify ourselves as a LLC type of?
Uh, okay. That's where you're going to want to talk to an attorney. You need one of the things that's on my PowerPoint and in the book. At some point, you need to get expertise from all of these different people that you're thinking you need to talk to. You may or may not want to be an LLC right away. There's costs involved in that, but again, it's like I told Norbert, you're going to have to decide what your risk is, because if you're buying new clothing and then selling it, you're going to have customers who are not happy with what you've sent them. So you have those things to consider. You have tax issues to consider. My belief for me is start small. I don't have an LLC. I'm still a sole proprietor for everything I did, including my PR company. But if I started the PR company today, I might be looking at an LLC or something more legal.
See, I
Yeah.
don't know if I could do a sole proprietorship, because it's like me and my brother. Isn't sole proprietorship just a single individual?
Or a partnership. Yeah. And again, I'm not a tax professional.
Yeah. So without a legal structure, you are considered a general partner. And a general partner, while it has some advantages, it also has a lot of disadvantages, meaning that both what you and your brother or any other partner does is liable for what happens with the business. And so generally speaking, the reason why you want to start and have a business structure like an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, is so that it protects you personally from being sued. So for example, again, with a sole proprietorship or a general partnership, if something was to happen in that business and someone wanted to sue, they would sue you and your brother or your partner directly versus suing the business. And if the business were to have to file bankruptcy, then you're protected. Again, I should also asterisk, and I'm not a lawyer, but this is just some of the information in general terms. And I can always connect you with a lawyer that can inform you more.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would encourage that dialogue. I think that's really important. Do we have anybody else? Well, while you're thinking of that, yes, Gwen,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So what is the status of home cooked food? I know there's cottage food, but I think in Riverside they allowed or there was a company where people were cooking food from their home and delivering the meals to the customer or something like that.
Yeah, my knowledge of that is old knowledge, but I think it still makes some sense. You've got the health department that probably is overseeing or wants to oversee home cooked meals for sale. It's one thing if you take something to a potluck or you take something to a friend's house, but if you're actually selling it, and again, I'm going to defer to Philip, but I imagine that the health department, that we may have licensing, each county, each city may be different, but Philip, why don't I throw it back to you on this one too?
Gosh, we've actually had a lot of people come through our incubator. And we just actually recently just got someone in talking about food. So that's actually a new one for me as well. So it's one that I kind of, get to learn. But yeah, there are options to do that, with the whole COVID thing. And there are people pop up now ghost kitchens where you can actually provide your recipe to someone, they can make it. Uber is now saying, we don't really need a storefront. We can just grab the food and deliver it. Same with DoorDash. And so you should definitely look into those options. Regarding the health department, I actually don't know about that part, but I do know that there are a lot of services that are picking up from people's individual houses who don't have a storefront and delivering.
Yeah. Again, that's an area where you want, before you put any money down, before you put a lot of time into it, Gwen, I would recommend that you just make an anonymous phone call to the health department. as I say, the health department was that's old information, but I remember counseling people years ago who wanted, I make these great cookies. They wanted to be the next Amos, famous Amos or whatever cookies. And they had to go through, because the thing is, you set it all up, you put all your money into it, all the advertising, you start to get customers, and then the government finds out about it, and they can shut you down, at least until you improve things. So at least that's the way it used to be. So always ask questions. Anybody else? Because I think it's time for me to go back to the presentation and cover some of the things I've just talked about. Anybody else? I don't want to rush you.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to go back
Oh,
to share. Oh, sorry. Did we have somebody?
Yeah, go ahead, unmute yourself.
How about a consulting business or educational platform?
Consulting, like business consulting?
Yes.
Again, it depends on what you're consulting on. Let's say you were a legal consultant. You know, you had your degree in that, and you were doing something like that. That's probably going to need to have a license. At least back in the day when I had my PR company, that was consulting in a way, and I didn't need any licensing. What you do, especially if you're going to be a home-based business, you do need to make sure that your city doesn't have a regulation. And usually it's like you pay $10 and you're fine. One of the other businesses I haven't talked about that we did, my husband and I did fundraising auctions years ago, and the city that we're located in, I checked with them, and they were very concerned that in a residential house, that the items that were going up for auction weren't being stored at my house, because if they were, they didn't want my house being used that way for a business. That wasn't the case, because the nonprofit groups that we were working with, we taught them how to do it, and then we showed up that night, so they stored all of the items. But those are the kinds of things that you're going to potentially have to look into, city or homeowners associations. But it can be really cool. There was a situation, again, back in the day, where a home-based printing company was started in a home. The home next door became available. They were not in a homeowners association. And so the house next door, the printing company bought the house next door, and all of their, I'm going to call it manufacturing, was done in the house next door. So a lot's possible. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also want to add, I'll just add one more piece in there. I mean, you can get started on Upwork. There are a lot of people that are consulting on Upwork, and just go through, and actually, if you feel like reading their terms and conditions, but I think for the most part, most people just kind of put themselves out there and offer their services. I think that when it comes to something a little bit more like a bigger project, let's say, for example, if you're consulting on a construction project, and this is going to be something kind of a little bit bigger, yes, so definitely look into more professional type of insurance on that. But basic general consulting, yeah, that's definitely doable.
All right, well, I'm going to take it back to my share screen and just make sure I didn't miss anything here. Okay. All right, I'm going back to this because these are just some more ideas. You might be into jewelry, either buying it and reselling it, a little like the clothing Alejandro, or you may craft your own. Of course, the computers, of course, consulting of all kinds. Here's the food one. I don't know if that's in their private kitchen, but cooking, exercise, just working for Uber and delivering meals. that can be made into your own business. So my biggest caution, everybody, is never just, okay, I've decided I want to have a home-based business. You don't ever want to Google work from home jobs. It sounds like the natural thing to do. I'm not sure what I want to do, but I want to work from home. I want my own business. But if you Google that, and the scams can be amazing. They are so skilled and so professional at presenting their information that you may fall victim to these scams. So I just tell everybody, don't Google work from home. It's better to talk to your friends, talk to business people, talk to Philip. Those are you just don't want to get into that. Whatever business opportunity you do find, even if it's coming from a best friend, make sure that you ask lots and lots of questions, important questions. Well, how do you get clients? Are you doing a lot of social media, or do I have to go knock on doors and actually sell my products? Again, going back to the multi-level marketing and the direct selling opportunities, even though I kind of was negative against them a couple of slides ago, they are probably your safest bet. But you're probably, if they're promising you that you're going to make thousands and thousands of dollars, be cautious. It's a very slow process, and you need to follow their process. They are experts and they know how to do it. And I will confess, I'm way too entrepreneurial. I buy my products from, and I get my products wholesale, different kinds of things that I like for myself. But I have no desire to be in multi-level marketing myself because I'm too entrepreneurial. It's like, oh, why are they doing it that way? It would be better to do it this way. And so my caution there is, if you get into a multi-level marketing or a direct selling opportunity, follow their lead and do it the way that they tell you to do, and you'll be more successful. I believe at that. And I do have some trusted multi-level marketing resources from a lot of different areas. If anybody is interested, these are people that I trust. I'm not working under them. I don't owe them anything, but they are representatives of the multi-level marketing companies that I trust. So I said this before as we were going through our questions: research, research, research. And what you want to do to be successful is to find something that you love, so it doesn't feel like a job. And basically, you may have even heard this: do what you love what you do. And that can be a job, or it can be your own business. Follow your interests and find something that you can become passionate about. Get advice from others, and you might even consider let's say, I'll take Alejandro as the example. He wants to sell new clothing. Let's assume he wants to sell new men's clothing. Well, when COVID's over, a job that might educate him and make him successful in his own business might be working for one of the clothing companies and learning how they do adjustments, and how they work with sizes, how they work with inventory, maybe where do they get their clothing. So that would be an example of a job in his chosen field of interest before he even puts out the energy or the funding to do his own thing. It sounded like he was a little bit further along with his brother, and so I definitely wish him the best. But getting a job in your field of interest can be helpful. Now, you want to avoid money problems. So yeah, you're real excited about starting this business, but please, if you have a job, full-time, part-time, whatever, don't quit your job too soon. hold on to whatever financial security you have and go slowly. Work on the weekends, work in the evenings so that you can build your own business, but not quit that job too soon. And then you can save money. Use what you already have. I'm assuming that none of you are homeless, but if you are and you're living in your car, then maybe sitting in your car, using your cell phone to make some initial calls to start your business is what you need to do. Don't go out and get a storefront right away. You probably have a laptop or a tablet. You probably have a cell phone. You have pens and papers and all kinds of supplies. Don't go out and buy the latest and greatest stuff. Use what you already have. Create a budget to the best of your ability. How much are you making now on your job? How much are office supplies going to cost? If you upgrade anything, upgrade your cell phone or upgrade your internet service. Those are all things that if you put it in a budget, it'll give you an idea of where you are now and where you want to be. And I put the coffee can, I'm sorry, that's from our generation. We save our extra pennies in the coffee can. So for young people who may not understand, yeah, coffee will keep you awake in business and you'll need your share of caffeine, but it's a good bank. So if you pay cash, you put your dollar bills, your pennies, you put it away, even if it's in a separate bank account, as long as, and research your banks, you should not be being charged for having a savings account. Ask those questions too. But put your money, what money you save, put it aside so that you can build capital so that you will be able to start your business and avoid money problems. Another resource, I'm not trying to sell my book, but the second book that I have, it's designed for parents to make enough to eliminate the second income. So you have a husband and wife, mother, father, so one of them can stay home. And within that book, that's why I'm bringing it up in a home-based or a small business symposium, if you will. It has money saving suggestions, very unique suggestions on how to save on personal everyday expenses and then put that extra money in the coffee can. Discounts, coupons, all kinds of things. And they're things that you can put on your cell phone, apps to save your money. You probably all are already doing that, but those are the things that are in this book. How to save on insurance, how to save by purchasing used versus new. And that's going to be a way to save. If it's good quality and up to date, that's a good way to save on business equipment if you need to get that. But let's get down to, how are you going to grow this business? First of all, you want to make connections. And one of the things, and I don't know how Philip operates your incubator, but every single time you meet somebody new, you connect with them. What I've done with Zoom is, and I have it in the chat, you encourage people to save the chat, print it out so that they have everybody's contact information. Now, Philip, you may already have the class, may already have those connections, but the point I'm making here is make it easy for them to reach you and have a one-on-one opportunity to meet all kinds of new people. Because the bottom line is, I almost don't know of any business that isn't going to use social media in some way or form. And you've got to build up your contacts. Eventually, you want to focus in on your target market so that you're not focusing on the wrong contacts. But the thing is, everybody knows somebody. And if you are collecting people, that sounds so impersonal, but that's what I do. I collect people, I get to know them, I make referrals to them. So going back to Norbert, let's say I was still doing the stamp collection stuff, and all of a sudden I just found out, hey, he might have some stuff. I need to have a one-on-one with Norbert. I need to find out, like, hey, show me some of the stuff that you have, and I might buy from him. Or I might know Joe Schmo down the street who is into this stuff, and I would put Norbert and this person together. I'm a connector. And so making connections is important for having resources to let them know what you're doing. But also, and this is where I'm going to go back to, you find a business professional, somebody in an industry that you would like to be in, and learn the art of bartering. And that's in that second book. But for instance, if you like dogs, you could offer to walk their dog in exchange for, could you spend an hour with me on a Saturday and tell me how you started your business? How do you do your business? How do you get customers? So the idea is to trade services. There's no money. You're not paying them for their expertise, but you're providing a service for them that they can benefit from. Get their business expertise, or actually you can get services in exchange for it. Somebody who does videos might videotape you, that, and you can use that on a website, or you can use that in an email to let people know what you're doing. And they may do that because they need babysitting, or they need somebody to run their errands for them. So that's what bartering is all about. And I think it's done a lot more in other countries. But the cool thing is the bartering can be utilized as your business grows. Now, there can be some tax implications if you're in business, and so you need to talk to your tax professional to make sure that you are above board on claiming costs and claiming the work that you've done in dollars, because they back in the day they had barter companies, and people had to just be very cautious about that. But bartering can save you lots of money and can get you the information that you need. So you continue asking and continue connecting. Keep asking questions wherever you go. On a Saturday, you're not thinking business, but good grief, you run into somebody who's doing what you want to be doing. People like helping entrepreneurs get started. They're so excited to, oh, you want to start a clothing company? Oh my gosh, I would love to help you. My brother owns a manufacturing company. And so just be, even if you're an introvert, start talking about the things that you want to be doing and ask questions. Contact the Small Business Administration. They have so many free services that they provide. Now, I don't want you guys to laugh at me, but my PR business was done in the 1900s, 1990s to be exact, in the 20th century. And I connected with somebody. I was the speaker. He works for the Small Business Administration. We connected, and I realized, you know what? I want to have a one-on-one with this guy. And then I signed up for their services, no cost, but I needed to take my 20th century thought process, not my company, because my company's changed, but I had to take my 20th century thought process into the 21st century. And he's been extremely helpful with that. So Small Business Administration, free services, well worth a phone call. But the most important thing is, Philip, stay in your SCUF entrepreneurial programs. If you want to be successful, you've got this in your lap. Stay with it. And then just begin to have fun. As things open up from COVID, but right now we've got a lot of things on Zoom, visit lots of chambers of commerce where you want to do business, and business organizations, networking groups. Go as a visitor. And again, ask questions, collect names, have one-on-one follow-up meetings, join the groups. Let's say you're ready to join a chamber of commerce. Your business is at that stage and you want to join, but you want to join the groups that are going to best promote your business. Chambers of commerce do things differently. Each chamber does it differently. Some of the things are the same, but also the members of the group, are they, do they understand the business that you're trying to promote and start? Or are there a lot of people in that chamber of commerce in businesses that would really be people that you could hire to help you with your business? There's so many free seminars, or there have been, especially with Zoom, even where they're charging normally. All of a sudden, everything went on Zoom. So no, come for free. You know, when COVID's over, then we'll start charging. So attend free seminars in the subject matters where your target market is. Just go wherever you can, collect those names. And then, as I said in answer to several questions, consult the professionals, the insurance, the tax, the legal, the banking, and keep asking questions. You don't have to obligate yourself right now to becoming an LLC. You right now want to talk to a business attorney and find out what's the difference? What are the tax ramifications? How should I start my business? Just questions, and then make note of the answers. That's totally key. Then how do you get customers? And the old school way has always been business cards. We can't really give business cards effectively right now, but you've got to have something. Do you know, about 3 weeks ago, relatively at the last minute, I was called by a church to speak to families. And here's where the book on stay-at-home parenthood came in. And I didn't have any current business cards, because all the way through COVID, I've been experimenting with this and experimenting and seeing this and seeing that. But Vistaprint online is a very reasonable way of getting really nice looking business cards. And if nothing else, have a business card with your name and your phone number, so that, and any of your social media, your email, so that if you run into somebody, you can give them something so that they can get in touch with you, and you can ask if they have one. Obviously, social media. And at this point, I want to stop for a second, and this is in the book too. At some point, you need to know when to hire a professional. There's a lot that you can do, and I encourage you to do as much of the work yourself when you're first starting, but know when to hire a professional. I think I said at the beginning, I'm not sure, maybe it was just between Philip and I, but actually I'm going back to my full-time job on Wednesday. But my side hustle, I still want that to be going, because I can still do groups in the evenings and weekends. But social media is going to be my downfall if I don't get help. So tomorrow afternoon, I am meeting with a social media guru who I will be hiring, because now I'm going back full time and I'll have the funds. But you want to have some sort of a website or a blog or something, generally in most businesses. You don't have to start with the most beautiful website. There are some basic websites that you can start with. I know we've got some younger people on the call, so you probably are pretty well versed in that, or you have a friend who's pretty well versed in that. That's where I'd start. The networking, I talked about that a little bit, the networking and getting referrals. Go wherever there are people who are doing the business that you're doing, or in the age group of your target market. but networking, you meet people, you have one-on-ones, you exchange business information, and then you keep them in your mind so that you can make referrals to them. Please, it just hit me. When we start getting, let's say, going back to Chamber of Commerce meetings, there's always one person who all they do is talk about their business and oh this and oh that and blah 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 blah, and it's like, how do I get away from this person because I want to go talk to that guy? you know don't be that person. The way I always approached a networking environment, Chamber of Commerce, the first time I walked in, I would ask, Philip, what do you do? Tell me about you. And then Philip would say something about Cal State Fullerton. And it's like, oh, I wrote these books. And then we talk a little bit, but then I go back to Philip. Tell me a little bit more about Philip. That's the way it works. It's a give and take. It's got to be a win-win situation. So you want to meet people, you want to be able to give referrals for them, and hopefully they will give referrals back to you. And then public speaking. What do they say? Going to the dentist is is a fear, but public speaking is a bigger fear. I think that's what it used to be. So I started in Toastmasters. I tend to be an outgoing person, but man, if I saw all these people in front of me, it's scary, and it can be scary on Zoom. So what I would recommend, start right away, because it won't hurt your school careers. It won't hurt what you're doing now. Find a Toastmasters group because they are very, very helpful. The criticism that they give you is not negative. It's very positive criticism to get you so that you're not saying ums and ahs all the time. And other things, they critique your speech. It's scary, but you're in an environment of people who know each other, because you'll get to know them, and their critique is only to make you better so that you can go out and spread the word about your business. Just a little bit of a side note, when you're starting your business, it might be beneficial to come up with a nonprofit organization that you can genuinely say a portion of our proceeds. That can be 1%. It doesn't have to be a lot of money, but that can really help your business to have the presence that people want to support. In my case, because I'm looking at a book where I want to help parents become stay-at-home parents, or somebody start a home-based business. Well, we support Bridge of Hope, Inc. because they help homeless families, and in most cases, very specifically, homeless moms with their kids. And when I searched last year during COVID, I was looking for just the right organization, and I found them. They do support families in California as well as several other states. So we do donate a portion of our proceeds to Bridge of Hope, Inc. All right, there is so much more, and we've covered an awful lot, but I'm going to stop sharing. And does anybody have any questions? I've overwhelmed you.
Actually, I don't have a question, but I have a comment to make.
Sure.
Is it okay? Because the philosopher Immanuel Kant often liked to end his parties with a joke, and I cannot resist thinking of this joke because you brought up something really, really important, which is so many people are narcissists. They only think about themselves.
Yes.
So they go to these chambers of commerce. They only talk about their own business and not interested in others. So
exactly.
It reminds me of this dating joke that I heard many years ago, which has become kind of like my favorite joke. So it's about a man and a woman go on a date, and a dinner date, but the man is a narcissist. So all he talks about is himself. What a great guy he is, his many accomplishments and all that, and just wonderful person. And so halfway through dinner, he realized he hasn't heard anything at all from his date. So he goes, enough about me. Let's talk about you. What do you think of me?
Oops.
Yeah,
That's a funny one.
I know. Have you heard this before?
I hadn't heard it, but I can envision that. Actually, one of my jobs, I worked for a narcissist, had no idea, and oh my gosh, that was so awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will just because you mentioned it, and actually I'm gonna kind of steer more towards a tip on the networking side. I find there are probably several of you that are introverted, and it is so much easier to go to a networking event and just latch onto one person and talk with them for the whole night. And that's actually not proper technique for networking. The networking event is you should spend maybe about 10 to 15 minutes with someone. Get to know them a little bit and decide if you're going to have a future conversation and swap business cards, and then move on, and then the following day or that night you follow up, and that's really the right technique to use. And I know that it can be very tempting, especially when we start a business, that we find someone and they're so intriguing that all of a sudden we just almost want to create a co-founder right away and start talking about all your business the whole night. Well, that's not really what they're there for either. They're there to network, and they're there to get to know other people. And if the situation arises in a after you have like a coffee or lunch or virtual meeting, then you can explore that much longer. But the networking event should just be a few minutes of networking and move on, and it's just perfectly normal.
And something else that Philip just said, because I want to use the terminology, follow up, follow up, follow up. If you meet somebody and you pick up their business card, I do actually have some here, you're not going after being a card collector. You have to do something with them, and something into a contact manager or my phone. What do I use on my phone? I don't even know the name of it. World Card. There's lots of different ones, and right now with COVID, I have to hand input. But the idea is you take a picture of their business card, you make any notes on it, indicate when you met them, where you met them, and then each time you talk to them, you put the information on it. So the point is, you have not lost this person. You know what they do. Again, you can refer to them. But if you don't follow up for a one-on-one, or how are you doing? I met you last week. Could we get together? You're going to lose an opportunity. And if you're starting a business, you don't want to lose any opportunities.
Are there any other questions regarding starting up a business? Well, I want to also add, it seems very nebulous, because it is nebulous. It's an art. And, when you get out there and start something, we advise that you also do things on a very lean budget. We advise bootstrapping because you just don't know where it's going to go. And generally speaking, in the very beginning, a lot of people will start something in one direction and then they'll pivot. It's very common, especially when you just start. You can have multiple pivots. And so you don't want to spend a lot of money going down one route. So I've met people that said, oh, I have this great app idea and it's going to cost me $10,000 to create the app. And then I'm going to do all this stuff and I'm going to create the LLC and I'm going to create this. And then they say, you know what, that's not even what I want to do anymore. And so now think of all that money that you wasted. And so we'd like to advise more about understanding who your customer is with interviews, getting to create a minimum viable product, something that just satisfies that need, so that way you can actually see traction, and then we kind of scale it from there. And then we go ahead and go through the whole process of, do you need, what kind of business do you need? For example, like Again, my asterisk is I'm not a lawyer, but if you are raising funds and you are looking for investors, a C corporation is actually better, and versus an LLC or some of the other ones. So, but again, I would connect you with the right type of attorney once you've identified that there is a market need for what you want to provide, and of course you've figured out that that is what you want to pursue. And it usually takes a few months to figure it out. And also on that note, Jeannie mentioned, saving your pennies. We 100% believe that you could still have your day job. We actually don't advise people to quit their day job. So please, we want you to get started. We want to help advise you, and we want you to be successful, so that we don't want you to just waste lots of money when you don't need to.
Excellent. Excellent. See, I'm going back to my day job.
Yeah, it's good. Then you can. I think what you're doing is great. Providing that, and then hiring people. That's also another one. Hiring people where you don't have a skill set. So social media. What we actually usually get hired because people want to bounce ideas off of us. They're usually stuck at a certain point. I say go out and go get all the free resources you possibly can. But if you find that after a couple weeks or even a couple months, if you're not getting ahead, then let us know and we can assign a coach to help you with that. And that's what we do. We have a coach that will help you on a weekly basis to push your goals ahead and challenge you, of course.